Hey, you guys, and thank you for tuning in to the Real Time Yetta. It's been a while, but I am back, and now tonight I'm going to talk about what are the origins of Halloween and the Bible's answer. The Bible does not mention Halloween, a holiday that many observe on October 31st of each year. However, the ancient origins and traditions of Halloween conflict with Bible teachings. Halloween's history and traditions. Do the pagan origins of Halloween matter? And why is it called Halloween? Halloween's history and tradition. Samhain. However, it is not pronounced like how it's spelled. It is spelled Samhain. The origin of Halloween can be traced to this, quote, ancient pagan festival celebrated by Celtic people over 2,000 years ago, end quote. The Celts believed that the dead could walk among the living at this time. During Samhain, the living could visit with the dead, end quote. Halloween costumes, candy, and trick-or-treat. According to one source, some of the Celts wore ghoulish costumes so that wandering spirits, quote, would mistake them for one of their own, end quote, and leave them alone. Others offered sweets to the spirits to appease them. In medieval Europe, the Catholic clergy adopted local pagan customs and had their church members go from house to house wearing costumes and requesting small gifts. Ghosts, vampires, werewolves, witches, and zombies. These have long been associated with the evil spirit world, referring to them as, quote, supernatural monsters, end quote. The book Halloween Trivia states that such creatures are, quote, closely connected with death, the dead, or the fear of dying. Halloween pumpkins or jack-o'-lanterns. In medieval Britain, people, quote, moved from door to door asking for food in return for a prayer for the dead, end quote. And they would carry, quote, hollowed out turnip lanterns, whose candle connoted a soul trapped in purgatory, end quote. Some sources say that the lanterns were used to ward off evil spirits. During the 1800s in North America, pumpkins replaced turnips because they were plentiful as well as easy to hollow out and carve. Do the pagan origins of Halloween matter? Yes. Although some people view Halloween as harmless fun, the practices associated with it are in direct conflict with Bible teachings. Halloween is based on false beliefs about the dead and invisible spirits or demons. Notice the following verses that show how God views the beliefs associated with Halloween. There must never be anyone among you who consults ghosts or spirits or calls up the dead. Deuteronomy 18:10-12. Meaning, God does not approve of efforts to contact the dead or even of giving the appearance of trying to have contact with those who have died. Now, I may ruffle some feathers, but this is the truth. And on my channel, that's all I talk about is truth. Doesn't matter how you feel. Doesn't matter how emotional you are. It doesn't matter your opinion, because opinion is just a belief. The truth is different. The truth is truth, and it's different from a belief or an opinion. Ecclesiastes 9, verse 5 says, "For the living know that they will die, but the dead know nothing at all, nor do they have any more reward." So you know what that means, guys? The dead knows nothing at all. The meaning to that is because the dead are unconscious, they cannot contact the living. So, quote, do not be participants with demons. You cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of demons too. That is in 1 Corinthians 10:20-21. Meaning, those who want God's favor must avoid any connection with demons. Quote, stand firm against the crafty acts of the devil, because we have a struggle against the wicked spirit forces. And that is in Ephesians 6:11 and 12. Meaning, Christians should oppose wicked spirit forces. Do not pretend to celebrate with them. Why is it called Halloween? The name Halloween is connected with the pagan Celtic festival of Samhain. The World Book Encyclopedia states, Samhain means summer's end. The festival marks the start of the dark winter season and was celebrated around November 1st in the AD 700s to 800s. The Christian Church established a new holiday, All Saints' Day. On this date, All Saints' Day was also called All Hallows. Hallows mean saint or one who is holy. The evening before All Hallows was known as All Hallows Eve, or as it came to be abbreviated, All Halloween. This name was eventually shortened to Halloween. So now we're going to get into who are the Samhain gods and where did this festival come from. So they are gods, false gods, and there are plenty of them. There is no single Samhain god, but rather a variety of Celtic, Greek, and Norse deities associated with the festival due to their connection to death, the underworld, and the cycle of seasons. Key figures include the Cailleach, a crone goddess who embodies winter, the Morrigan, a goddess of faith and death, and Aran, or Aaron, the ruler of the underworld. Other figures like the Greek goddesses Persephone and the Norse god of Odin are also linked to Samhain themes of descent and death. Celtic deities. So, the Cailleach, an ancient crone goddess associated with winter, death, and the end of the harvest season. The Morrigan, a goddess of war, fate, and death who can appear in crow form and is linked to the cycles of destruction and rebirth. The Dagda, a father god who in some traditions has a yearly union with the Merrigan to secure protection for the coming year. Aran, or Aaron, the king of the Welsh underworld, Anwen, and a leader of the wild hunt, which is often associated with the period around Samhain. Manannán mac Lir, a god of the sea who acts as a guardian of the otherworld, where the spirits of the dead are believed to pass. Other deities with Samhain associations. Hecate, the Greek goddess of the underworld whose descent into the underworld during the dark months mirrors the season's decline. Anubis, the Egyptian god of death and their afterlife. Hel, the Norse goddess of the underworld. Odin, the Norse god who is said to lead the wild hunt during this time. Now we're going to talk about the origin of Halloween candy. Halloween candy can be traced to ancient traditions of offering food to spirits and the medieval practice of souling, where people exchange, quote, soul cakes, end quote, for prayers. The modern tradition of trick-or-treating for candy took off in the mid-20th century, boosted by candy companies marketing their products as easy, safe, and cheap treats, especially after public fear of tampered homemade goods made packaged candy a preferred alternative. The ancient Celtic festival of Samhain is a root of Halloween where people believed spirits walked the earth. To appease them, people would leave out food offerings. Soul cakes. During the Middle Ages, the tradition of, quote, souling, end quote, emerged. Children and the poor would go door to door offering prayers for the dead to exchange for, quote, soul cakes, end quote, a type of sweet bread.
The origins of trick-or-treating remain unclear. It is believed to have stemmed from a custom known as souling, in which the poor went from home to home and prayed for the souls of each family's dead, in exchange for small cakes to eat. By the early part of the 20th century, Halloween was gaining a foothold as an American institution. Mass-produced Halloween costumes became commonplace, making Halloween one of the most profitable holidays on the calendar, earning retailers billions of dollars. Halloween's appeal transcends age, delighting both children and, yes, even adults alike. It's a day to step into costume, gorge on sweets, throw ghoulish galas, and scare ourselves silly. The truth is frightfully clear. Not even a silver bullet could stop Halloween now.
Now we are going to talk about the phrase trick or treat.
Trick or treat, as we use it today, was first recorded in 1927. One of the early uses was a Peanuts comic strip with Charlie Brown in the 1950s featuring the gang using the phrase tricks or treats. Soon the idea of homemade treats was given up in favor of store-bought treats, which were easier to stockpile, easier to serve, and considered safer to accept from strangers.
So now we're going to talk about the costumes and the origin behind Halloween costumes. So if you notice, everything sounds repetitive because it's basically an evil origin. So every single thing about Halloween is to ward off an evil spirit or a deity or a demon. So this is what we're talking about when we say the origin of something, because it's all evil. Every holiday, birthdays, every single thing that is created by Satan is evil and demonic. Okay? And so this is why I created this page, so I can teach you the truth about history, origins. The costumes originated with the ancient Celtic festival of, here we go, Samhain, right? When people wore disguises to ward off or blend in with roaming spirits and other supernatural beings. This pagan tradition involved through practices like, quote, guising, end quote, and, quote, souling, end quote, where people would dress up and go door to door for offerings. Over time, the focus shifted, with early costumes often being frightening or representing mythological figures. But modern outfits now span a wide range of characters, celebrities, and superheroes. Believes. The Celts believed that on the night before the new year, October 31st, the boundary between the living and the dead blurred, allowing spirits to roam the earth. Guising. So we're going to talk about the meaning of guising. To hide from or confuse these spirits, people would wear costumes often made from animal skin and heads and go out in disguise. This practice is known as guising, is the ancestor of modern Halloween costume. Now we're going to talk about the Halloween pumpkin and the jack-o'-lantern. Halloween originated from the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain, which marked the end of summer and harvest, and was a time when the living and the dead were believed to cross paths. The tradition of carving and placing lanterns, now pumpkins, evolved from a similar Celtic practice of carving turnips to frighten away evil spirits, a practice that was later adapted by Irish immigrants in the United States who used more readily available pumpkins. The word, quote, jack-o'-lantern, end quote, itself comes from a folk tale about a man named, quote, Stingy Jack, end quote, who was doomed to wander the earth with only a burning ember and the carved-out turnip to light his way. The meaning of the pumpkin. From turnips to pumpkins. The tradition of carving faces into vegetables to ward off spirits began with the Celts, who carved faces into large turnips, potatoes, or beets. When Irish immigrants came to the United States, they found that pumpkins were more plentiful and easier to carve than turnips. Folktale. The name jack-o'-lantern comes from an Irish folktale about a man named Stingy Jack, who tricked the devil but was then cursed to wander the earth forever with only a burning coal inside a carved turnip to light his path. Carved pumpkins with lights inside were placed on doorsteps to scare away evil spirits on Halloween night.